Yes, guys, everything bite-sized here to annoy you with another video. So I've read a little bit of this article and I can tell already that I'm going to butcher a lot of pronunciations, so feel free to butcher me in the comments. So this is from a writer called Jem Reed at setthetape.com. 5 bizarre true stories that could be movies. Every year, Hollywood rushes to adapt real people and events into biopics, dramas, and even action movies. We've had movies depicting real-life terrorist attacks, delving into the true stories behind inventors, and approximately 100 movies per year about the royal family. But somehow, despite all the ripped from the headlines films gracing our scenes each year, these wild and true stories have never made it to the big screen. The Halley's Comet panic of 1910. Can't remember if it's Halley's Comet or Halley's Comet, but we're going to go with Halley's Comet. In 2021, director Adam McKay brought us Don't Look Up, a comedy satire about a comet that was about to wipe out the Earth and destroy humanity. While his story was mostly a metaphor for climate change, many viewers found it closely resembling our current pandemic as well. But if McKay wanted to satirize response to the pandemic, he should have looked to a different comet. Yeah, man. This whole I'm not even going to go into the whole pandemic thing, fuck that. Anyway, in 1910, Edward Halley discovered a comet that was going to closely pass by Earth. Things began to get strange, however, when the New York Times highlighted French astronomer Camille Flammarion's theory that the comet's tail consisted of a poisonous gas that would kill us all. While most serious scientists disagreed with Flammarion, people still ran with Flammarion, I'm saying that wrong for sure, and started panic buying gas masks. That sounds like people panic buying toilet roll. Anyway, other grifters and pseudoscientists began to try and make a buck off the hysteria, claiming that their pills and elixirs could prevent death from poison gas. Flammarion never backed down from his theory and even claimed that onlookers could smell the gas as the comet passed by. See, I wouldn't be surprised if people did smell something, because the mind is really powerful and can trick you like that, you know? So they probably thought they did smell something psychosomatically. Anyway, if nothing in that story of the mainstream media accidentally highlights quacks and grifters selling alternative medicines reminds you of our current times, Google ivermectin and get back to me. Is that something to do with the current pandemic? I'm sure I've heard of ivermectin. Anyway, this particular comet panic might hit a little too close to home these days. Subproject 68. Did you think Human Centipede was too far-fetched? Yeah, not really. What about Hostel? Hostel I could definitely see happening in some fucked up corner of the world where rich people go to kill people. I could see that happening. Anyway, while the torture porn genre may have faded from popular culture in recent years, there is still an appetite for real visceral horror, and no one can deliver quite like the US government. Fair comment. MKUltra was a sweeping CIA program investigating mind control and often using unknown civilians as test subjects. Yeah, this was fucked. They were spiking people with LSD and all sorts of shit, man. And oh mate, I've been dosed with LSD before, and I tell you what, it was one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life. Anyway, one experiment within MKUltra was Subproject 68, which sounds more like a horror movie than most horror movies. Dr. Ewan Cameron, a Scottish-born psychologist, believed he could essentially erase people's minds and leave them with the mental capacity of babies, allowing their personalities to be completely rebuilt. That is fucking pure evil. Anyway, to do this, he would put his subjects in sensory deprivation chambers, induce comas, perform electric shocks, and play the same messages on repeat for days on end. That's some Guantanamo Bay, man. Whoa. Some subjects suffered for over 100 days in this extreme form of torture. Many subjects suffered from memory loss, and some are still seeking compensation from the government as some form of justice. A made-for-TV Canadian movie is the only media that attempts to depict Subproject 68, but it could easily be a tense and brutal thriller with a terrifying character actor as Dr. Cameron. Maybe John Goodman channeling his 10 Cloverfield Lane performance. Never seen the movie, don't get the reference. Anyway, The Last Queen of Hawaii. Okay, so I'm almost certainly going to butcher some pronunciation here, so I apologise. The Last Queen of Hawaii. There are approximately 10 movies about Princess Diana this year. Alright, she's a good writer, but fucking leave the comedy out of it, man. Seriously. There are approximately 10 movies about Princess Diana this year, but royalty outside of Europe never quite seemed to get as much play. One story that would make an incredible movie is that of Queen Liliuokalani. The first, I'm going to call her Queen Lily from now on. The first and last Queen of Hawaii. King Kalakua, Lily's brother, had signed something called the Bayonet Constitution, which gave some power to the white landowners and farmers who had attempted a coup. After King Kalakua's death, Lily wanted to restore power back to the monarchy and away from the businessmen who were looking to export natural resources like sugar back home to America and Europe. Unfortunately, only 2 years after coming to power, the business owners staged another coup, this time backed by the US military. It would be, wouldn't it? The landowners removed Lily from power, and after her supporters attempted a coup of their own, she was tried for treason. Whoa. Lily gave up her powers as monarch in exchange for pardon. That is so ironic, man. Her getting done for treason. Anyway, and the irony goes a level further when you consider like the treason against the British Crown and this layers of irony. Anyway, Lily gave up her powers as monarch in exchange for pardons for her supporters, and the US was able to annex Hawaii. I never knew that. I never knew nothing about that. I always wondered why Hawaii was a US state. Anyway, Lily continued to fight for a free Hawaii despite living in exile. A powerful female monarch who fought for the rights and the land of her people. That sounds like Queen Boudica. I don't know if you know about her. I think she was like a Welsh queen, I think. She was like a warrior as well. That's very interesting. I haven't heard about that since school though. Anyway, under house arrest in the palace, was forced to sign away her power but never back down. It would be a peaceful film centered around a strong performance, like Elizabeth in Another Time and Place. Haven't seen Elizabeth, don't know what the fuck the reference is about. Anyway, the town that faked crime. Have you ever heard of Palisade, Nevada? Well, if you were a big traveller in the 1870s, you might have. The sleepy town was passed through regularly by trains, and either due to boredom or a need for tourism, the residents decided to stage a show for commuters. This looks really interesting. As the train approached, the townsfolk would get into position and act out gunfights, bank robberies, and battles with the local Native American tribes. Wait, as the train approaches, the townsfolk would get into position and act out gunfights, bank robberies, and battles with the local Native American tribes. No one outside the town knew it was a hoax, and Palisade gained a reputation as the most dangerous city in the West. You know what? I respect the hustle, man. In reality, the town was so safe it didn't even have a real sheriff. Palisade could easily be a Christopher Guest style comedy with who are all these people who I have no idea about. A Christopher Guest style comedy with character actors like Katharina O'Hara and Jennifer Coolidge as community theatre via the Wild West types, desperate to put on a good show. Right, okay. Salt of the Earth. How about a movie based on a true story about a movie based on a true story? In the 1950s, Hollywood was going through a dark period where filmmakers and stars were blacklisted due to their personal politics, or how their personal politics were being perceived by those in charge. Many writers, directors, and producers were even called to testify in Washington in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee. That sounds so like Orwellian, like thought speak. Un-American Activities Committee. That's like thought police. Anyway, and either denounce their connections to socialism and anti-fascism, or name those in Hollywood who might be socialists. In the midst of this, blacklisted writers Paul Jarrico, or is it Yarrico? I have no idea. Michael Wilson and director Herbert Biberman. These guys must all be before my time, or I'm just stupid, or both. Made a pro-union, pro-feminist, and pro-minority film, which Hollywood didn't exactly care for. Salt of the Earth was about striking zinc miners in New Mexico, and not only depicted the union favourably, but also cast some of the actual miners and union members as themselves. Okay, I got the union wrong. I thought we were talking about a different union then. The film ended up being under just as much pressure and harassment as the striking workers had been. Few people in Hollywood wanted to touch the film, so they hired other blacklisted artists as well as crew members with little to no experience. Many seasoned creatives walked away from the film after receiving threats or out of fear of being added to the FBI watch list. The remaining cast and crew were also harassed, with one actor having their car shot at and another having their home burnt down. There's some fucked up shit in like obviously British history as well, but American history, like there's some gangster shit that the government has done, man, for real. No one suffered more so than lead actress Rosario Revoluters, who was jailed during filming before being deported to Mexico. What? Politicians claim the film was trying to incite racial hatred, and the film was under so much scrutiny the filmmakers had to finish it in secret. They created a makeshift lab where they developed the footage in secret, used code names and unmarked canisters, and wouldn't even let the composer watch the footage he was scoring. Too risky. Despite all that, the movie was still banned throughout most of America for its left-wing political leanings, although it has retained its legacy today. A movie about the movie would be perfect for Hollywood. They love telling stories about themselves, and it would be a rare case where they'd be like the good guys and the bad. Oh, that was interesting. Anyway, this has been Everything Bite-Sized. Subscribe for more stuff like this. Check out my shorts, check out my music videos. Peace.